Okay. If you're on, you should be able to hear me. From San Diego. Sweet. Jess, everybody's here. I'm sorry that we are starting a little bit late tonight, and I'll try to make this quick. Hey, you know what? Can you turn that light off? I don't know if I actually need it. It's kind of driving me crazy. Oh. Okay, maybe I do need it. Yeah. We'll get to that next week. Go ahead, turn it back on. I think I need it. Okay. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get started, and I hope you guys are doing okay. I don't know, it's funny, I'm witnessing myself go through this, that's actually a little bit better, but hopefully it won't start fire. I'm witnessing myself go through like all of these just different cycles of thought and everything, and I think one thing I've been picking up on Facebook is that, like, while a lot of people are really suffering, some people are kind of thriving, or something unexpectedly good has happened to them, or whatever. And if you are one of those people, like if this has actually been a type of blessing for you, I want you to enjoy that blessing. And it doesn't mean that we feel any less compassion for people that are suffering, or that we make light of their suffering, but sometimes we're all moving in different places and in different ways, and the rhythm changes sometimes can be negative, and sometimes they can be positive, and probably they're a little bit of both most of the time. So I just want to extend encouragement to everybody, and I hope that these classes, live or in replay, are helping you in any way that they can to get through with this. So I want to say a quick word about tonight's class. This playlist is going to be on SoundCloud. It's already made, and this is a class, let me turn that music down a little bit. This is the type of class that I typically teach locally, where we focus on one technique throughout the whole song, and throughout the whole class, and we move kind of slowly. So what we're going to talk about, since there's a lot of new to the HoopPath people, we can always revisit this, but it's also good to introduce this to some people, and it's called point technique and 2-point technique. And I wanted to spend most of the time explaining it while we're moving, but just to give you a sort of idea about what point technique is it's a way of holding and manipulating the hoop and moving it where you don't use grip. And almost anything is allowed as long as it's not grip. But just that one restriction kind of opens up a new way of connecting to your hoop. So one of the first questions or the first things that will come up into somebody when they see it is like, why can't we just do this while gripping the hoop? And you totally can. And in some ways, it might even look cleaner. But as somebody that's been hooping since 2001, and not that that makes me better than anybody, but I've had a long history with hooping. And what I've noticed is that what can look like the smallest nuance, like just using the back of your hand instead of your palm, can open up a world of movement and like a world of understanding. And when I say that we're hooping and doing this flow stuff and that I think it's going to help us as 80-year-olds, I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that. The flow spinners, hoopers, flowers, we are doing something so good for the body. We are teaching the body how to touch, and how to touch in a much bigger way. I mean, most people, of course, their history is to push, their palm into every situation. And as spinners and flow artists, we are learning push from surfaces that most people don't even realize they even have. And that's the portal that this sort of thing happens through. And so I am teaching tonight one of the techniques that came from that type of portal. And I don't mean any kind of metaphysical portal, real kind of, but mostly I just mean literal, a doorway. So because we're getting a little bit late start, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with sway tonight, and then we will move into point technique. Thank you, everybody, for joining and chiming in. All right. All right. Okay. I'm going to sway. If you're new to class, I always start the class off with sway. I like to do it blindfolded. You can close your eyes. I think that really helps. It's interesting for me to do sway on camera. And it's been tough over the last couple of weeks to remember to sway the way that I enjoy and not sway to make it look cool for you guys or to make it look cool for your partner that's watching you do this. And one of the things that has helped me come back, keep it fluid, is to remember why I enjoy sway and to try to let go of the fact that I'm being broadcast. What I enjoy about sway is I give my body a metaphor and I let it act that metaphor out. Audible breath in. Audible breath in. If you're new to this, you move any way that you want to. You can roll on the ground, you can stretch. Sway is a warm-up exercise. For me, I tend to be on the more anxious side. And so my sway tends to be much slower. That slowness tends to, slow movement slows my mind down. And I find myself really appreciating slow motion because I so rarely experience it in my mind. And you can personalize your sway in the same way. Let it speak to you. Let your movement speak to you. Audible breath in. Audible breath in. Again, sway is free movement. You can move any way you like. I really recommend for tonight's class that you move to open the arms. To really extend and stretch. I can imagine my wrists are being pulled as I move them. Keeping my breath with me so my body can help open up. Audible breath in. Okay, for this, I burst in my can. For this next exercise, we're going to do one more sway. I don't know if we'll do the full song, but this is one way. We're going to start with a whole lot of ways to get into point technique, but what point technique is for the most, for 70% of it, it's done with the arms. And so we're going to wake up our left and right arm right now by moving our hands in some kind of flight together. And we're going to keep the flight of each hand sort of similar so that the movement is opening up both sides of the body. Good. And then with the hands moving together or not, we're going to move them up towards what we call the northern arc. That's the space above us. And I don't want you to move like me, God no. I want you to move like you, but I'm just making suggestions to you. Good. Good. There's a story in the Maidan, which is the myth that all of this is based on. And it's a long story, but the gist of the story is that Kaya, the warrior, goes to sleep one night, and she wakes up, and she doesn't realize it, but she's woken up in a dream, and her arms have become two snakes. And she freaks out. And the snakes are turning all up against her. And then she breathes, and she hears, "Be still, be still, be still," and the snakes kind of come to, you can imagine. When you are working with point technique, the movement of your hands is very snake-like. You're imagining that you are pushing, lifting, pulling with the heads of snakes, because we don't have grip, but we can still pull, we can still lift. Audible breath in. There are other games you can play with your hands to wake up both sides. One that can be fun is to play with a determined distance between the hands. Kind of like a pillow of air energy. You can roll that energy. These are all imaginative things, but ways to open up both sides of the body and to begin to coordinate left with right, dominant with non-dominant. Audible breath in. Good. Okay. I know that was a bit of a long sway warm up, but it helps to open it up. Oh, sweet. Welcome, everybody. Okay. So, you know what? I think I do need to raise the camera a little bit. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, so we're going to start with point technique. I will demo this first, and just in case you've never seen point technique. Well, let me just show you first. This is kind of, a couple of years, for me anyway, down the road of 2-point technique. This is 2-point technique. And this is point technique. And the point technique will begin, and I'll go ahead and press play on this, by us doing it very, very simply. If you've been to HoopPath and you know the point technique, you can just go ahead and jump on into it. But if you're new, I want to show you how we're going to do this first exercise. We're going to start with holding the hoop on our hand. And if you can imagine kind of Tai Chi with a hoop, that's maybe the closest mode form or modality. And what you do in point technique is you imagine that it is an intentionally, at least at first, an intentionally slow technique, and that the slowness of it is meant to build strength and grace. I am 46 years old, and I plan on hooping, well, at least until I'm 96 years old. And I think it'll be hard for me to have the exact same energy that I have now. And so I can imagine that point technique might be a type of technique that could keep me connected to my hoop. It gives me resistance all the way out into my reach. And because the hoop's not spinning and moving, it gives me a chance to balance and really strengthen my non-dominant side. This is point technique. The hard part about point technique, well, one is feeling free, and the second is remembering to move the other parts of the body. Because that's really where we talked about in the last class, getting rid of boredom. That's really where the boredom kind of goes away when every part of me is moving. This is point technique. It's short for point of contact. First story of point contact in the Maidan is with Ana, and her first point session is a listening session. She's been told to go out and be with her circle and listen for what she should do next. And sometimes that can be helpful for us to think of a point session as a warm-up, but as a listening session. Listening to what's on your mind, listening to what's on your heart, listening to where the hoop wants to go. However light or heavy, listening. If you came for a workout tonight, you can spend a lot more time on one of your two legs. flow. For me, anyway. Some people talk about slow flow, and it's my fast flow. For me, this is slow flow. Good. So, one of the My Dan that I love, who had a big moment with, let me make sure I've got the right song here. Yeah, she had a big moment with Point, was this woman named Saza the Illuminated. And Saza woke up in a dream, and there was this giant full new, or not new, but full moon, super moon. And it was so big, and it was right in front of her. And she reached up with her little hands. She was a small woman, My Dan. And she pushed the back of her hands into the shape of that moon. And she took a big breath in, and she pulled the moon down onto her hands, and she began to move it in this dream back and forth. And the more she played with it, the more she wanted it to be around her, through her. This big, beautiful moon. And Saza danced with it. My hands are on the inside of the hoop, and I'm pushing out. This is called 2Point on the inside wall. And it's so good for tuning the right side of the body to the left, or dominant to non-dominant, whichever way it flows for you. I love this song. This is a 2-point stall. Saza takes the moon and dips herself into its light. This is 2-point on the inside wall. And I'm creating most of the momentum by spinning. If I get dizzy, I can move into a vertical. Good. All right. Hey, Vancouver Island. Hey, everybody. Kind of Saza is the name that's usually the most identified. S-A-Z-A, Saza. Okay, so we're going to keep the class moving. So, Pasha, the Peacemaker. I'll put notes in all this. Pasha, the Peacemaker. She connected with Point in a kind of different way, where she would hang the hoop on her shoulder, and then she liked to push the hoop so that it would walk. And this was called pivot and push. If I'm holding the hoop on the back of my hand, if I take the other hand and push it, I've created pivot. And pivot and push with Point, the pivot is the point of contact, you add some push to it, and the hoop moves. This is what it looks like if I hung the hoop from my shoulders and pushed. I'm hanging the hoop, that's the point of contact. And what makes Point really start to move is you realize how you can push the hoop. Trace and create push on the hoop that way. You can do the super slow walk across the body with pivot and push. Audible breath in. Again. I like Point because it opens up all kinds of movement for people that can't move so well anymore, or people that are coming back for an injury, and gives you a chance to still stay engaged with your flow, still keep a chance of hope. If I start to move my feet with pivot and push, I start to get a little bit more action on the hoop. And this is where the flow of point technique starts to happen. The flow of point technique is that you don't know exactly what's coming next because you don't have a firm grip on the hoop. I hope this is making sense. If I want to up the strength factor of point technique, then I spend as much time as I can on one of two legs. I'm feeling a little gooier than that tonight, so I'm actually really dropping both legs in. Point. Pasha of the peacemaker. Point of contact, I push on it, and it pivots to some other part of the body. Okay. This next exercise is a little bit, thank you guys, I'm glad you're digging it. So this next exercise is a little bit more techy. This whole class is pretty technical. If you don't like the technical classes, I apologize, but I'm just trying to get some instruction out in here, and this is kind of what is important to me. There is a super basic movement that you can do that's a point movement, not to claim it or brand it, but you can do it in point. And that movement is when you push the hoop on your arms around. Well, let me do it real time so you can get a sense of why you'd want to do it in the first place. Oops, microphone. Namaste, right? Then push with one hand and keep that elbow high, and it comes across to here. Then the key to this is to come high, for me anyway, to come high with the elbow to there, and then back to here. Now, one of the reasons that I hoop with a 38 is I like the contact that it makes with my legs. Again, Trinity Star hoops, awesome hoop. I like the contact that it makes with my legs. And so when I'm doing this movement, I'm stepping or moving in some way. I'm feeling that point of contact there on my legs. This is what it looks like in real time. And I'll turn so you can kind of see. Namaste, push, back, carry. This is what it starts to look like when you flow with it. Sorry, my mic's much. Oh gosh. I feel it down my spine. I breathe it with my soul. I need you to know. Good. Nice and peaceful. And I don't usually teach tricks, but there's a lot of good in this move. There's a lot of concepts that are buried into this move. I can make my hand snake-like, and I can push it on either side of the hoop. And if I keep my elbow high, and I can start to get changes, like direction changes on it. Basically breaks. See that? Flipped there. So it looks like this in real time. I'm not doing this that good. There we go. Are y'all getting that at all? I'm just going to let you play with that type of movement. This is if I start to put wheels on it. Oops, there we go. This is point technique because I'm not gripping the hoop at all. Nice, Anne. The music's kind of chill tonight. We'll pick it back up on Thursday, but tonight it's chill. Not everything's a party. Well, not everything's a amped party. It is an invitation to dance, right? If I'm inside my hoop, inside it, I'm here, namaste, push down this time, I'm inside the hoop, same motion, come back up here. Show you. I'm inside the hoop now. We were outside, we were without the hoop before, now we're within the hoop. Sweet, I'm glad everybody's digging the slow chill, right? Okay, we're going to do one more song, one more exercise, and then we're going to break. I'll play a kind of different rhythm, different beat song, let you free hoop, and then we'll come back to a little bit of it. But actually, hold just for a second here. So there's some cool things that you can do with sway or with point technique, and one of them is you can put the hoop into flight. And so I've got the hoop, this might take a little bit of room. If you can't do it, it's cool, but I've got the hoop held behind me, and it's on the back of my hand. That's called point technique. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, this is that samurai twist we worked on the other time, I'm going to turn and send the hoop way up and then turn, and then when I want to put the hoop back to sleep, I'm just going to stop turning. I know that you might not be able to do that. All my people in Brooklyn, I'm sorry. I know there's no way in hell you could do work on this. But for everybody else, I'm going to get a quick turn. That's going to put flight on my hoop. And then I can put it back down to sleep. All right? I'll do it with, if I can do it with the right hand, I'll do it with the left hand. I'm going to turn fast. And then I'm going to put it back to sleep. I can go back the other way if I want to, still on my left hand and turning. Now this is kind of a boring hoop move, but it's really good, I think, for building the human body. It gets you used to distance, or to spinning, excuse me, and I can pull and push through my range. I used to get dizzy as hell, and I hardly do anymore, and I totally credit that to hooping. So if I wanted to, I could come up here, I could swing the hoop up, let it go around, then go pinky to pinky, and then put the hoop to sleep and point on the other hand. So I'm up here, I'm going to spin it, and come up, well, I'll spin it from here, and then I'll come up, hopefully you can see this, point to point, pinky, and then put it to sleep. Okay? And so it looks like this. I come up and then put it to sleep, right? Super basic move, but it really kind of helps you if you're not gripping it. If you're doing true point technique, you really learn how to feel it through the whole body. It's very Zen-like. This is if I took the movement and did it just in one single circuit, so there's no rotation up there. I'm just going from one to the other. Now, I tend to hunch, so I'm going to do this exercise by being upright. I'm sure my movement coach will have advice for me after this, but All right, I'm gonna play the music back on. Yes, you're stalling the hoop on the back of the hand. Good thing you have renter's insurance, right? So let me show you, I'm gonna show you kind of flow with this and give you a chance to sort of experience. This is all point technique. If I am holding the hoop out here and I turn my palm towards me, then I'm within it. And if I know how to stall, I can pass off to another hand. And this is all in point technique. This is all in the back of my hand. This is me turning back within it. This is 2 points of contact. And if you get dizzy easily, you can shorten this so you don't have to go around so much and just do these big swoops. I've been really feeling the character of Pasha the Peacemaker this week. I see so much anger online, and I'm trying to figure out, what would Pasha do? How would she bring peace to her world? And how would she bring peace to that world? And I'll be honest, I don't have a clue what she would do, but I like listening for her. Point is a technique that helps me listen. Lots of people like to stall with the hoop on the back of their wrist. If you're not sure how to get there, the hoop's on my wrist. If you're starting to get dizzy, don't worry, we're just about done. This is all point technique. I like the range of motion that it opens up. I like the resistance, a little bit of physics, a little force pushing back, pushing it out. Point technique. I'm not gripping the hoop at all. Even if it rolls across my palm, it stays open to it. I love grip. I've got a whole section of my curriculum about grip, but I don't think it's as necessary as people seem to employ it. And sometimes when you're not gripping the hoop, new things open up. I hope you guys are still with me. This is point technique. That was a point technique, using it to stall. So our next song is, I did this right. Our next song is going to be a free hoop song. And yep, a free hoop song. And this will give your arms a break if you're work tired of your arms. I really need to work on my camera. This will give your arms a break, and it'll give you a chance to kind of, loosen other parts of the body up. When it starts playing. Okay, there we go. Thank you, everybody. As you're moving, as you're opening, imagine your awareness filling your whole body. Imagine it, visualize it, that every part of the body becomes lit with witness. Your left hand feels as alive as your right. I am a big believer in unfettered awareness, an awareness that you allow to move throughout the body wherever it wants to be. The hoop could be in your hands, but your awareness could be at your feet. Your awareness could split into two hands. And what's so wonderfully awesome and cool about awareness is that the moment your awareness is there, that part of the body moves better. That part of the body moves better. Most of the awkwardness in our movement comes from a lack of awareness. That's how you work on a body part, that's how you work on the skills to bring awareness to it. Open, open, open. All lights on. Big breath in. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anne. I'm going to jump back in here. Okay. All right. So we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit here and talk about different type of 2-point. And I think this will be a good angle for it. Okay. So this next this is kind of where things can get a little bit geeky, maybe. But if you like to do repetitive things like I do, this can be fun. But this is 2-point technique on the back of the hands. Tina says hi, and this is point technique. So this is where we're going, if you want to. Okay, that's 2-point. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Oop. Of course, I'm going to flub it. Boom. To get there, we develop the touch to catch the hoop. So the top hand is on the inside wall. The bottom hand is on the outside wall. And I'm going to bring my hands up and see how my hands right now are more or less in line with each other, more or less. Instead of this, I'm back here like this. I'm going to soften my legs and then throw the hoop up and catch. For those of you who've done the HoopPath before, you've done this a million times, and you can just start to knock these out. But this is what the catch looks like. All right? So I'm here, I'm holding my hands, top hand on the inside wall, bottom hand on the outside wall, and I'm switching hands like this. Boom, 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 boom. Wow. What's wrong with me? Switch, switch, switch. This is if I switch on the same, that moon side, that backhand, back of the hand. This is if I'm forward, elbows on different sides of the hoop. This is a little bit advanced, but I'm holding the hoop just as I was doing before. I'm here, and I'm switching hands like that, but this time I'm going to switch hands and hop all the way to the other side. Boom. Here. That's 2-point technique. And the way to start there is here. I can use my forearms. If my hands are getting sore, I can use my forearms. I hope you guys are getting that somewhat. Most of you have probably done this a million times, but if you've never done it, what we're doing is developing this so that we can get to this. Here, here, here. This may not be a move everybody can do, but you can bounce it off the chest from here. Point on one leg. 2-point. Using 2 points of contact, an inside and an outside. I can try to fold this over if I want to. I can fold it. This is a hop. This would be a fold. You see how my hands stay on the hoop? I'm still in point technique. To get there, I throw the hoop up and spin my hands, and then I fall over. So throw up, spin my hands, back of the hands. Push up. These are hops. These are folds. See how the hoop is folding? It's just staying still when I hop. It's folding when I turn. If I push up. You throw the hoop up a little bit to make it look like it's not falling. A little bit of a push. One more sort of bridge off of that exercise, and then we're gonna free hoop and call it a night. So one of the cool things that you can do with 2Point is create lots of spin. And that spin can be helpful for a lot of things. And so to feel the spin, I'm holding 2Point, but I'm gonna push out with my bottom hand and back with my top hand, and the hoop is gonna spin towards me. And that spin is really cool because we can do a lot of things with it. If I had an LED hoop and I wanted to send it high up into the air, you can toss very, very high like this, and you'll be sending it up with a spin instead of a lazy sort of spin from a static toss. You can put up lots of spin on it. I can pull it into a body roll or that chest bounce that I was doing before. If I spin it, it's gonna, for a dude anyway, it's gonna spin up. Can be a cool way to get momentum. And then one cool thing to do is to use it as kind of a type of body roll or a push across the body where I'm in 2Point and the bottom hand's going to push up as the top hand pushes back, and I come over here and catch it there. Obviously I need to work on these. So this is 2Point technique, and we're talking about spin now. If you want to try hand walking, and this will be the last part of this, to hand walk with the spin would be I'd put spin on it, and then push my hands into it for a second, and then I'm back. So put some spin on it, push, 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 push. 2Point. Okay. If you're still here, the playlists are on my SoundCloud. Future Hero Podcast, Jonathan Livingston Baxter on my SoundCloud. This one will go up immediately. I love this track. I love these tracks. All right, so I'm just gonna let this song play out, and then it'll move into our free hoop. I'll do a little bit of this demo so you can get a sense of what this is like. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining me. We will definitely talk about 2Point again. We're just scratching the surface of it. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We're just going to wind down with the free hoop tonight. Sweet. Nice. Breakthroughs. Great. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, everybody. This playlist is already made and will be on SoundCloud as soon as class is over. These artists are hardly, most of them could use your follow. They're popular, but they're not as popular as I think they should be. This one's going to be kind of high energy, and then we'll go back down. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. This is a free hoop. Hoop any way you want. You can practice the techniques that you learned. I won't be instructing you more, so if you have to sign off, thank you so much. Our next class will be Thursday. That's our beginner class. Intro class. Thursday, 7 o'clock. We'll be talking shoulders and legs. Shoulders and legs. How to get better at shoulders and legs. Different ways to hoop there. How to learn. Wear shorts. Thank you, everybody, so much. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. It's really hard to rush anything, and it's especially hard to rush the learning process. This is the second to the last song. This song, I think, is written by a very young artist, but it is so raw and just full of energy, and I just love it. I don't know how old she is, but I get the sense she's not very old, but that's awesome, and she should keep going.
Brain dead, always smoking cigarettes. You can't change it. This party never ends. And I cut the wire to the fire, and I wish we never met. I'm just tired of desire and all the words we never said. Now I'm frozen and overflowing with regret. I just keep hoping I might find you in my bed. I know you're broken and alone inside your head. Just keep going like you always did.
She said she made it in her basement. I love it.
I'm wordless and I'm sure this will work itself out.
Right?
I look into your eyes and I see more pain and I see more doubt than anything in any being. Tell me what that's about. Now ask me why that matters and ask me why I'm fucking down. Now ask me how long that it's been since I took off my crown. Now tell me how much you fucking love me, how you miss me. Now say it all out loud. Can't control my demons, you can't control my feelings, but you can't control the truth. You can't control the meaning. I'm brain dead, always smoking cigarettes. You can't change it, this party never ends. And I cut the wire to the fire and I wish we never met. I'm just tired of desire and all the words we never said. Now I'm frozen and overflowing with regret. I just keep hoping I might find you in my bed. I know you're broken and alone inside your head. Just keep going like you always did. So I hear those voices now that you had stuck inside your head. They creeping through the walls at night just like you always said. I guess I'm so sorry for not ever believing it. The monster's always talking, never stopping. How could I forget instead of letting go? Instead of moving on, I'll take the hurting from your heart and turn it into art, I swear to God.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you had fun tonight, enjoyed these classes. You can't rush it at all. This will be let me make sure. This will be the last song, and I will sign off. Thank you guys so much.
We're in the clouds now. We're wide open. The world looks beautiful from here, man. We just want to be happy. We embrace an overwhelming feeling of love. We flow in unison. And this feels right.
Sweet. We'll go and work on head hooping on Thursday. Thank you guys so
We
much.
just wanna be happy.
I am going to sign off.
We flow in unison.
Hey, Allison.